Hey, good morning, everyone, and good evening to everyone to the world from here. And as we always say, we always look forward to Fridays. Exciting day today. We were talking about big events in DeFi, crypto, blockchain this week, and pretty excited to talk about it. There are many questions that came to us over the course of the week because of some of the things that happened regarding security. And no one wants to receive a message that says from an exchange, please don't log in. So we're going to talk more about that here in a minute. I'm joined with Tim Vasco, the CEO and founder of BlockSearch Blockchain. Good morning to you, Tim.
Hi, Dan. Great to be here. Been an exciting week in DeFi world for sure.
It has, pretty amazing. And Daniele Menzi, who is from Fusion SDX and the president of that company, and we're excited to have you on. You've got a lot to say, I know. And Daniele is joining us from Italy, Rome, Italy. So good evening to you, Daniele.
Thank you, Dan. Always a great pleasure being here on The World From Here.
Great, thank you. So just to kind of frame this up, and I'd like to also say hello to Chitra and Jules, who were joining us here, and also a lot of people from around the world, from Africa, I see, to Canada and places in between, India, the UK. And so we're very excited to have people continue to join us as our channel continues to grow. And just housekeeping, if you're joining us for the first time, click below and subscribe, and also click the thumbs up button. And hello, Boomer, that like we talked about last week.
Right.
We love to have the thumbs up in the chat stream. That's great, but also make sure you click on the button below. So that kind of housekeeping there. So just to kind of frame this up, some questions. Is DeFi safe? Are NFTs protected? How about my wallet? How about blockchain, smart contracts? A lot of those types of questions happened this week because of something that happened with a company called Pancake Swap. And we're going to get into that here in a minute. And we're fortunate, I already announced Tim and Daniele here, but we're fortunate to have two experts here. Tim with pedigree with MIT and Oxford University, and also Daniele, who started the Oxford blockchain group and a cryptocurrency expert himself. So with that, Tim, we were talking quite a few times this week about the Pancake Hack, the Pancake Attack. And if you might just talk to us a little bit about what that means and what happened. And I know Daniele's got a lot of input on this topic as well. So thanks everyone for joining us.
Yeah. So I got a tweet, copy of a tweet from Daniele this morning on NFTs, and Daniele's in Rome. And as I went back and I said, well, Rome wasn't built in a day. So I think that the most important thing for everybody out there to understand, people who are getting into DeFi, NFTs, hearing all the hype and all the things happening, a $70 million Beeples out there, which we'll talk a little bit about, how you can just make all this money and do liquidity pools and things like that. Yeah, it's happened fast. There is a lot of there are a lot of things going on with DeFi, and yeah, I think Daniele's backdrop is better than anything we're talking about.
Oh, I know. I was just laughing myself.
Yeah.
She's
no, you know why? You know why? Because today, I mean, today is a Father's Day, at least in Italy. I don't know in the rest of the world. So she came.
Oh,
she's giving me
nice.
her with a sentence there, and she wants to say show.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get off this quick because there's more important things out there. But
yeah, it's fun.
That's fun. That's cool. It's not Father's Day here, and my daughters are too old to give me any of that stuff anymore.
I know.
I should video
lasts, but the idea of NFTs and DeFi and this whole Pancake swap crash or hack, if you will. The week before there was the flash crash, and this week it was a hack. And the point is that, are they safe? The answer is probably not really. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but no, they're not. They're not safe. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to go into and be thought out. This stuff came up in the last couple of months. It is trying to build Rome in a day, and it's obviously not working. So one of the tweets Daniele and I were going about is experts and developers in the industry talking about the $70 million Beeples that essentially is just code. So let's just get rid of all the DeFi NFT buzzword stuff and talk about what's really going on. This is code. If code is sitting somewhere, the only way digital makes any sense, whether it's a Bitcoin or it's a $70 million, which is still astounding to me, digital piece of artwork, the only way that it has any substance is if it lives on a live server or in a data format that's secure. That's the only way it has any substance, number one. Number two, it's all represented through what we call JSON, J-S-O-N, JavaScript Object Notation. That's the standard of all of these code bases that are the bits and bytes that make these things happen. And then that's all hashed and put together in cryptography and everything, but it all lives somewhere on a hard drive, somewhere, in some kind of digital format, somewhere, right? And the somewhere is the risk. How secure is that somewhere? Number one. And number two, is it truly something that you can put this precious asset in and have it be secure, also have it be transferable? Also, what are you going to do with it down the road? Like, you have to think these things through. So in 2019, in April, I'm going to use an analogy. In 2019, in April, I was in Milan, Daniele, and you probably remember this, but Notre Dame in Paris went up in flames.
Yeah, I remember.
What happened to all the artwork? Now, a lot of it was saved, but what happens when something goes up in flames in the physical world is very similar to what happens when you lose code in the digital world. It's gone, and it's gone forever, right? When a NFT, a token, or a wallet get attacked and get hacked, and those digital assets that are represented by this code move and get taken, it's gone. And there's very little you can do about it after the fact. So if you don't think about it before the fact and before you do this, and this is a warning for both the buyers and the sellers, if you have a valuable digital asset and you want to NFT it, put a framework around it so you can secure your digital asset. And you know that if you sell it, you're going to get paid if that thing goes out for $70 million. You want to be part of that transaction. You want to make sure you're secure. Conversely, if you're the buyer of that and you now own it, you want to make sure that that's yours, that it's real, it's authentic, it's usable, it's protected. And if you down the road can sell it for $75 million, you want to be able to do that. Or if you want to monetize it because you're going to license people to use it, or all the different other things that you could do with that thing. But if you don't have infrastructure, you don't have Rome. You really don't have a framework. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Daniele, and he can talk more about, I'm trying to bring it down from this crazy, what is this stuff, technology and financial complexity, which we've talked about, down to real life. Real life is, this is not simple structural stuff to do, and it's not just go out and make $70 million. And even Beeples did this, I have to say, for years and years and years and years before this ever happened to him. But it happened fast, and he's definitely led the charge. But it really was a lot of work to create all that digital artwork. And it's pretty crazy, impressive stuff. But Daniele, maybe you can talk about what actually happened, and then we'll dig in to how some frameworks need to be thought about to prevent that.
Yeah, I would like to talk at this point from two different directions. First of all, to give a little of insights about, the Pancake Swap hack, and also to give a perspective about the total lack of security with the NFT space. Total lack of security.
Right.
So on the first side, on the Pancake Swap hack, what happened is probably you are aware of how you buy a URL. So you go on a website called GoDaddy. There are others as well. And then a domain is being assigned to you. You pay a fee depending for how long you want to lock your URL, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And GoDaddy essentially is the master of that URL and assign kind of a link where anytime someone type your name, your URL, so the DNS, so the domain name system, route the traffic so as your traffic is being reached, your website is being reached. And to enable your website, they provide you with a username and password, very simply, okay? What happened in the case of PancakeSwap, this domain name was hacked at the GoDaddy level, so as the PancakeSwap.finance, which is the URL the PancakeSwap bought, was a kind of a compromised, and someone else took control of this website. So then they created a copycat of the website, and in the copycat of the website, the first sentence was, please enter your seed phrase. For those that are not familiar with DeFi, so once you connect so if you want to trade or if you want to swap tokens, if you want to provide liquidity, you need to have a wallet, either MetaMask, either Binance Smart Chain wallet. And in order to create the wallet, you need to create you enter two things. One is a seed phrase, 12 words. Either you invent your words or they're being provided by the wallet provider. So as you note somewhere in a piece of paper, and you have to remember, because if you don't remember the seed phrase, your tokens are gone. And secondly, you have to enter a very long password. So what happened is that once the website was compromised and people were logging to PancakeSwap to see what was going on there, they were redirected to the website and they were forced eventually to enter a seed phrase, which is quite uncommon because no one is asking you to enter the seed phrase unless the wallet. Sometimes you log in or you create a new wallet into a different laptop or a computer. So some people provided this seed phrase and the fraudster took control of their wallet. So that's something, it's a very bad practice of people not aware of it, but sometimes, not all people are completely aware. In a period of time of about a couple of hours since the attack took place and people in the PancakeSwap team realized it, so some transactions went through. And the silly thing is that I followed during that time, so the Twitter and the Telegram group, so people were concerned about the funds. So they were concerned by the fact someone took control of the funds into their wallet, okay? The key thing is that if the tokens are controlled from you in your wallet, unless you do something wrong, no one can take control of your funds. So you have to do something wrong in order someone to take control of your wallet and your token. Step number one. And step number two, people were afraid about the liquidity they provided. There were people provide hundreds of thousands of dollars of liquidity into the PancakeSwap ecosystem. And they're saying, hey, what's going on with my liquidity? So in case something had happened, nothing could have been done or restored from a user to get the funds back. So that's why these type of activities have to be described as risky, but also with a high reward. And people should be aware what to do in the event of before things happening. That's key, because once an attack is pretty, these DNS attacks, it's pretty common. It's not new, okay? you have to know what to do in the event of. So actually, in this case, you should have, just waiting, following the Twitter channel and the Telegram channel, and waiting the admin to tell you, okay, now it's safe. In between PancakeSwap, they purchased another website called pancakeswap.ai, but they never restored this new website because it was too messy for the community and for the people just to be redirected, and they didn't know whether that information was accurate or not. So in fact, they restored the next day, and the DNS were propagated the next day, and everything was fine. No big losses. What happened? But once again, people dealing with DeFi, having a clear understanding on how to deal with the wallet, the tokens, and what to do and what not to do, it's key. That's my first, summary. Second point I want to mention here is about NFT, because people joining NFT craze into all direction. NFT, the next big thing. Yes, it is something very nice. It's very valuable in perspectives. But right now, the NFTs, I've been looking around, I've been studying a little bit more in detail. They are nothing more than a link to a website that is being hosted by a third party on an Amazon Web Service.
Right.
So you own nothing.
Right. And all of this comes down to what it means to actually have an asset, or what it means to actually have control and understanding. So if you go through everything Daniele just said, now put hours to that, and the amount of time and attention that you would have to understand all that, follow it. You're following a Twitter channel, you're following a Telegram channel, you're watching all of this stuff, you're understanding your wallets. Your wallets themselves, when they are out there on the web, actually are stored by another third party. So you have all these different pieces going on. You have a DNS server, or GoDaddy, as Daniele described it. Then you have these centralized exchanges, right? And those guys are sitting on a server. Then you have the asset provider, the digital asset provider, that's sitting somewhere. In this case, Daniele said AWS, and it's a link. And all this stuff is linked together, and it's done through a pretty much archaic system of username and password. And
yeah, Tim, that's not the blockchain. When people ask, is the blockchain safe? They haven't hit the blockchain yet.
They haven't even hit the blockchain yet.
Exactly.
In fact, all this stuff happened because blockchain's not implemented.
Right.
All this stuff happened because you don't actually have your wallet. So at BlockCerts, we created the Be Certain wallet that you actually download on your hard drive. And your private key and seed phrase and all of that stuff is on your system. It's there. That's what we call the Be Certain vault, Dan.
Right.
And then none of this can happen if you've got the infrastructure set up, but it's complicated. So what we do at BlockCerts all the time is we keep trying to make it simpler and simpler so people don't make uninformed decisions, like put your passphrase or your seed phrase into a website.
Yeah, and
right?
Tim, your wallet is just like the keys to your front door of your house. You would, if somebody asked you to give your keys to them, you would never do that. So why would you put?
We all know not to put our bank account and our PIN code up on a website.
Correct.
Like banks have made it very clear, we will never ask you for your PIN code.
Right.
How many times do you get that? What's called OTP, one-time password, right?
Right.
Two-factor authentication. None of this stuff is being used in any of these areas right now. We've designed that inside our systems so that doesn't happen. So that when there's a question, like it immediately is going to use what we call MFA, or multi-factor authentication. Is that Dan? No. Is that really Dan? No, I mean, really, is that Dan?
Seriously. Yeah.
Seriously. We're asking. And then Dan's going, is that the website? I mean, really, is that the website? Is that the website? These are multiple factors that if they don't match, exactly, precisely, it won't happen.
Yeah.
These are not being implemented in these exchanges. They're not being implemented in NFTs right now. I think from a long-term perspective, the NFT and the tokenization market has a tremendous positive impact. And there are tremendous business models that will be built around it. There are really good ways to do it today, but it takes time, it's much more costly, and it's much more difficult for companies like us to build it outright. Well, there's this craze. Hey, look, people are going to go after the craze. And I mean everybody. I mean the developers are going after the craze. The buyers and sellers are going after the craze. It's this huge rush to do something fast that is completely, as Daniele said, it's completely unsecure.
Yeah,
there's no depth to it at all.
Right.
So we have, we mentioned this from let's say from a tech standpoint, from a tech maturity standpoint, but there's also tremendous value opportunity there.
Exactly.
And so just give an example of, a discussion I had this week with one of the top 5 clubs in the world. In the world, there are not many top 5 clubs. So, and their turnaround is about $1 billion worth of dollars. One of the big club. So in fact, in the football industry, all clubs are struggling because of the pandemic, because their revenue, their growth, it's completely absorbed by declining in TV rights, declining in advertisement revenues, declining in the tickets revenues, and so on and so forth. So they are trying to reinvent and find new growth and revenues opportunities. So NFT is just an example for them. It's perfect because they already have a positioning, a market positioning. They already have a community. They're just, they're in the process of thinking, what is a new product that can feed to certain needs of the new world order. So to this extent, NFT, in my view, it perfectly fits to this need. But again, the key here is that so there has to be an underlying value, and an underlying value, it depends also on how this is being engineered. And just to reference this to the Bitcoin, why Bitcoin, just to name a digital asset, why Bitcoin has such a high valuation, such a high price, is because the underlying security that Bitcoin brings to the digital asset space is huge. And the higher the value of the Bitcoin, the higher the level of security, meaning the level of how the transaction is being validated by the back by the miners, it will increase over time in an exponential fashion.
Well, and Daniele, to your point, Bitcoin's been around for a long time too.
Yeah.
Right. So in the early days, there were a lot of hacks. There were a lot of failures, infrastructural failures. There was Mt. Gox, massive failure. There was the illicit use of Bitcoin called Silk Road, massive failure within the community. And what happened is it tightened up. A bunch of miners came out. We all know miners consume electricity and everything, but tons of them came out because it was profitable to do so. And this big infrastructure started being established around a single asset called Bitcoin, a single type of asset called Bitcoin. None of this has happened with NFTs. And I've been doing this and building these infrastructures since 2013 in this world. I mean, in this blockchain world. I started in 2013 at it. So when you start looking at that and you look at what kind of infrastructure there is, it's not surprising that something, and I kind of made light of it the last week, pancake swap, sushi swap, burger swap, whatever, all these things, they're just like, hey, let's ride. People will throw their money at it. Let's go. And so I always tell people, if you really have an asset and you really have a business model, as Daniele described, it's football, which is soccer for those North American people. So global football, not American football. But if you have these kinds of things, or if you have a real asset and you're in and looking at a long-term business model, you need infrastructure. Build it properly. It doesn't take forever. Honestly, it took us forever to build it. But yeah, that's why we built what we did. That's why Blocksearch is what it is. So be certain. That's what we talk about all the time, Dan. You know that.
Yeah.
Be certain about what you're doing. BCERTIN.com. Go look at that. That's us. Those are our D apps. There's 12 of them there. There's a dozen of them that you can assemble to do that kind of thing, to build an infrastructure. Go a little slower. If you're going to invest or do $1 billion deal, or $1 billion of revenue, or $70 million of revenue, or $100,000 in investing, put a little bit of effort in on the front end to make sure you've got the proper setup and you can actually execute and control that. That's my advice to people. Don't get so caught up in the hype that Christie's went out and did a $70 million deal, right? And maybe that $70 million investor, buyer, whatever, did some homework on the back end. Think about that. Maybe they actually have a way that they secured it. Maybe they didn't. If you're listening to this and you didn't, call us. We'll help you out. But there's got to be some intelligence brought into this madness.
Well, and Tim, I've been asking one question on the NFT side: how important is your brand? As we're talking to others from that are calling us, or those that are thinking about venturing into the NFT world, how important is your brand? So one hack could totally obliterate your fan base and your brand, and that's why it's so important. As you talk about the front end, it's not only just the tech. Tech is everything on the front end here, but it's the thought process of what do we do on the front end to protect ourselves so that it.
Very good point. Some of these things, as I said, people spent thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of hours building all that artwork up. Right. And if you've got a brand, or you've got a presence, or you've got a name, especially if it's a big name, and you put it out there, and the first thing that happens is you went with a lightweight provider that just went and got you hacked, what does that do to all those years worth of value that you've created? And do you have control of it? And what if you lose control of it? What if you do? How do you reverse that?
Yeah, how do you
There's
recover?
No going back.
Right.
There's no going back. So the idea is hurry up and slow down. Think about it. Think about what the structure is that you want and build a structure around it. There is, and Daniele can comment on this, in my opinion, there is a huge long-term effect that's going to come out of all of this. This is not something that's going to go away overnight. It is fundamental, and it is a change, and there is going to be long-term trajectory that is going to go very fast, for sure. Like, you don't want to miss out. You want to get on the rocket ship. It's a rocket ship, but you also don't want it to blow up midair when you're riding it. You want to bring it up and bring it down safely. Ask SpaceX. They've done it 9 times. That's pretty amazing. 9 times they put that thing up there and brought it back down safely. Took a lot of engineering to do that, right? So that's what you're trying to do. Get on the rocket ship, go to space for sure, but get on the right rocket ship. That's the way to do it, in my opinion.
And I think right now we are in the phase of FOMO, fear of missing out. All the people are FOMO in, so they want to step in, and eventually they believe that, I buy an NFT and eventually this will go like the Mona Lisa. I hope this is going to happen, really. But the reality is that I think it's key to start creating true value creation in the process by, in my view, explaining to brand first, because consumers, most of the people following the retail craze, they're already into it, looking for opportunities there. It's much more educating the brand on how to craft an NFT that really connect and create value, and how these keep, that's to me the key sentence, keep value over time, because the way it's being engineered. So which is kind of consider as commodity, because at the end of the day, as long as someone attributes value, it has a value, which is partially true. So, and for us, now I put myself, in the shoes of Blocksearch, Fusion, and all the steps we're taking in the market. We will spend a considerable amount of time and also creating content to our community, explaining the value of the security element of the technology we're crafting surrounding NFT, because that could be one of the key enablers for us and for our NFT clients.
You both have said key takeaway. I know we have to wrap up here in a few minutes, but a key takeaway is think on the front end. And
that's right.
And that's why just the mad rush to the gold rush, just like it happened here in the U.S. in the late 1800s, many people starved and many people died because of the mad rush without thinking through things. And obviously, if you can think on the front end, it will certainly save a brand and help build something of incredible value in the future versus getting hurt.
And that's why we're here every week on Friday at 9:30 a.m. So subscribe to our channel. We're here to ensure that if you want to be involved, and you should be involved because everything's digital now, learn about this stuff, become informed, and yes, move fast. We are also moving very, very fast, but we're moving wisely into the space and helping the people who join our communities do that. So we've got our community here at YouTube. We've got our community on Telegram at Blocksearch. Just join at Blocksearch on Telegram. And we talk about this stuff all the time. And we also have our website, blocksearch.com and becertain.com. You can go there, get involved, and you can actually start following how to get digital. And the one thing I want to encourage everybody is get digital. Get it, whether it's your individual life or your time. But Dan and Daniele, thanks for joining. Daniele, go enjoy Father's Day in Italy. And and remember that Rome wasn't built in a day, but there can be a lot of wealth built and prosperity, just like the Roman Empire, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, get digital.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.